the sun sets, the undead awaken. To slake their hunger, they feed upon the herd of unaware mortals. Right beneath our noses, the kindred clash against their rivals as they vie for control of the city of San Francisco. Are you strong enough to cheat final death and see another night? Vampire the Masquerade Rivals expandable card game from Renegade Game Studios.
Welcome to Vampire Wednesday, everybody. As usual, I am Matt Holland, and as unusual, I am joined today by a new member of the Renegade team, Jordan Gaeta. Jordan, how are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Doing just fine. Thanks for taking the time to come and share the fun with the Vampire Rivals community. And we'll talk a little bit about what you're doing specifically later on in the show, so people can stick around and get some information on that. But I don't know about you. I spent last weekend freezing up here in Minnesota and attending the first 2022 Prince of the City tournament in Roseville, Minnesota. So big shout out to all the players who came out for that. It was a really nice tournament. Everybody was, super, super welcoming to newer players, walking some people through things, encouraging them in what they were doing, but just had a really fun time. We'll talk a little bit more about that event in a second. But first, we've been hard at work. We've added additional Prince of the City locations. So New York State, Florida, Singapore, and Sydney, Australia are all on the calendar now. So if you are in those areas or nearby, you haven't been able to get a Prince of the City event that you could make it to, please check out vampirerivals.com/Prince and get the details on those, because we want to have an awesome turnout for those stores. And what better, thing to build a Rivals community around than a big tournament like Prince of the City. Jordan, you, as I understand it, have just kind of been getting familiar with Rivals here. I think saying that you are a neonate is definitely a true statement at this point.
Yes, definitely. I actually have just recently tried learning the game. I've been successful-ish so far. I've made it about halfway through a game. It's actually laid out on my kitchen table downstairs. I keep coming back to it with my fiance. So nice. I am most definitely a neonate. Yeah.
It's one of those things, like once you get it down and it all clicks, then adding a new clan in, you just have to learn their new mechanisms. Because you're playing Corset right now, you'll get your Tremere with the rituals, you'll get the Thin Bloods with alchemy. So it's nice in that it keeps it fresh as you introduce more options, more mechanics, and feels very thematic. So hopefully soon we'll see your skills in action, playing on a stream or something, testing out a deck. But the Prince of the City in Roseville is a great time. Shout out to the two Southern California players who actually made the trip to freezing Minnesota to play in that, Edward Kim and Brandon Adams. So thanks for coming out and joining us. We always love to have guests in the Minnesota, sort of meta for any games, and very brave of you to come out and brave the chilliness. And I don't think it could have possibly been more worth it, because Brandon Adams actually won the tournament. So the reigning Prince of Minneapolis is from Los Angeles, taking the title back to the sunny West Coast, which was, I think, probably pretty exciting for those guys, considering they made the trip out just for the tournament. Brandon Adams won running Hunt the Hunters with Royal Retreat. If people have seen the Gen Con winning deck, it's actually pretty different, although that did run Hunt the Hunters as well. For one, that ran the House of Pain agenda. And then this deck also splashed in Gangrel, which was not released at Gen Con. So Trinity Voss in there with Apex Predator lets him kill Sad in just one shot with a social attack that does all 4 damage. And he used that to great effect to take down the tournament. Another deck that I think is worth calling out for people who are preparing for their own Prince of the City. Edward Kim had a deck running Dragon's Roost with Bad Penny as the leader. Bad Penny is a Malkavian vampire who gets basically extra healing. So, just like a Bad Penny, she just keeps coming back. So she's going to bounce back if put into torpor faster than other vampires. And Dragon's Roost will let the player controlling Bad Penny as their leader, in Edward's case, use her to block attacks anywhere on the table. So people who were running an agenda like Horde the Herd or Invisible Army, where they need to either kill certain things or certain attacks need to go through, Edward was just able to deny those kind of at will, blocking those attacks, preventing them from scoring points. So we talked about this with Matt Hyra last time. And Jordan, you've probably started to see a little bit of this as you play, but you have to have more than one way to win the game. Because if your only strategy is to, capture the vagrants with Horde the Herd or something, and somebody's doing that, you're going to have a real hard time. So building a deck, it's good to have a toolbox. If you're playing the pre-con decks, like I think you are right now, Jordan, those are a little bit more one note than a typical. Yes, I'll come back to this comment here on Twitch. Those are a little bit more one note than like a deck that you would typically bring to a tournament. But Miramoto Daisuke points out that Trinity can kill a Second Inquisition without an attack card because she has 2 social, and then her ability allows her to boost her damage versus antagonists. So Apex Predator can push that even higher if necessary, or gives a good way to attack other vampires. But yes, good call. Good call. I am not as fresh and up on the Gangrel and Nosferatu cards as I am with the newest stuff and then the Blood and Alchemy cards. So thank you for calling that out and clarifying it for people. The deck list that Brandon won with is up on the card database on our deck builder. It's one of the featured decks, so you can't miss it. It says I created it, but that was just because I put it up there for people to see. And all the deck lists are available scanned if you want to head to vampirerivals.com/Roseville-decklists. So I have a scan of all the deck lists up there. The community can dig into those and draw what conclusions they would like to. But what I saw, Gangrel and to a lesser extent Nosferatu showing up in small amounts in a lot of decks. I felt like everybody had, a Gangrel character splashed in. I think almost every single deck did. So it wasn't just everybody only running the new stuff, but a lot of people taking elements of the new stuff, using it to their advantage. A lot of variety. We had Thin Bloods. We had, I think, average 3 clans per deck, a couple with 2, and I think 1 with 4. So a lot of variety of vampires out there. Just kind of bringing the different options, the different strategies that different clans have is a very helpful thing, as we discussed in our sort of Prince of the City prep. Coyote's asking, will all Prince of the City deck lists be posted online? That is my goal. And that actually touches on the next thing I wanted to talk about. If you are attending a Prince of the City, please encourage the retailer to scan and upload all those deck lists to me. If they're not able to, pictures, if you can take pictures of all the deck lists or scan them yourself or something, that would be very much appreciated. I do have a request for the hosting stores to get me at least the top cut lists, but it would be awesome to have full data. So if you're attending an event, absolutely encourage the store to do that. And if you're able to, step up and help make sure that happens, because I would love to have them all available for the community to examine, for the dev team to look at and draw any conclusions that they can from that. So if you're going, I would absolutely appreciate any help to get things like that shared with us and with the community. So if you can get them to me, I will make them available to everyone. But that was the Minneapolis event. We have an event happening this weekend in Dayton, Ohio. The weekend after that in Baltimore, Wood River, Illinois, which is just outside of St. Louis, and Berkeley, California. And then later in the month, April 23rd, you've got Pasadena, California, and Herkimer, New York, which is one of our new ones at Exile Games. And we round out the month in New Orleans on April 30th. So go to vampirerivals.com/Prince, see all the dates, see all the prizes. And if you're a newer player, we had some newer players in Minnesota. If you're a newer player, I cannot overemphasize, watch last week's stream with Hyra and me talking about tips for tournaments, tips for deck construction, things to think about before you show up. That kind of stuff can make your day a lot easier and a lot more successful. So check that out. But Jordan, tell us a little bit about yourself and what led you to be here at Renegade, and then we'll talk a little bit about what you're doing here at Renegade.
Sure. So I actually came from the healthcare industry. I was working as a behavioral therapist for children with autism. And like many of us here can probably relate, my gaming has always been my passion. So I play Magic every Wednesday night, D&D every Friday night, and then occasionally board game nights on Thursdays. So my week is pretty taken up by games. So the opportunity to work in the industry, that revolves around games it was a no for me. So that's sort of what got me into this. And then you said you wanted to talk about the Discord server, right?
Well, first off, you're the community manager. What are you doing at the company? Like what's kind of your day-to-day? What are your focuses?
So my day-to-day right now is basically adding transparency to everything that goes on behind the scenes of Renegade, because we have 100, 1,000 different things going on at once. Everybody is working so hard in many different areas. It's, always moving, but the community doesn't always know exactly what's going on. And sometimes they'll hear about what's going on when it's time to be involved. So my role is really making sure that they're prepared to be engaged, prepared to get where they should be, and really have the best experience possible with Renegade and our games.
That's pretty awesome. And so people who are in our communities like the Power Rangers, the Transformers, and G.I. Joe one, you may have noticed like Jordan is going to be the person who's in there answering questions, collecting your feedback and stuff. That's previously a thing that I did a lot of. Having Jordan around allows me to focus on organized play, on some of the other stuff I do in the background with retailers and our process of like soliciting new products to be sold. So it's fantastic to have somebody who can really invest in those communities, take the time, still give that really direct line to the company that I was able to give, but allow me to work on other stuff. Coyote says that you are my ghoul, which I believe that's in the next expansion after Heart of Europe. So we don't have that just yet. So yeah, Jordan, you'll be seeing in a lot of those different groups. He's in the unofficial Rivals Facebook group, like I am too. And then of course, Jordan spends a lot of time on Discord. Jordan, we talked about it a little bit last week with Hyra, but can you explain sort of the switch we're doing with the Rivals Discord into the main Renegade one?
Yeah. So first of all, I want to say personally, thanks to everybody for, bearing with us through this. We knew from the get-go that it wasn't going to be a comfortable transition, especially when the community is so comfortable in that particular space. It's not easy, and we definitely knew that from the start. But ultimately, and Matt, this, we put a lot of thought into the pros and the cons, and we came to the conclusion that we're just putting in too many awesome future rewards and perks and systems that are going to be a lot of fun for the community into that main server, that it just wasn't fair to the Rivals community that they weren't involved with that. So ultimately, we wanted to bring them into the fold and have it all in one place, so that way we can implement all of these future plans and have everybody benefit from them and not leave the Rivals fans out.
And somebody else, some player actually kind of nailed another thing too. We made the Rivals Discord separately way back. This is before my time even. If we went back and did it again, it probably would have just had its own category in the Renegade one. Why divide the community? That I know there are people who play Rivals and play Heroes of the Grid, or play Rivals and play our other board games. I mean, I'm an example. And while I know there are also plenty of Rivals players who don't care about the other properties or don't care about the other games, we do have some guidance that Jordan wrote up on how to turn off all the other stuff. So you only have to see and interact with the Rivals community that you interacted with on the dedicated Rivals Discord. Yes. So you'll get all the good stuff that we're adding to the main Renegade Discord without having to have anything added that you didn't want. And if you decide in the future, hey, I want to play Search for Planet X or a different, our line of solo games, then you're already in the place where you can learn more about that and have a great time. But you're talking about all this cool stuff that is happening in Discord. Can you explain some of it? Because yes. I thought I was pretty up to speed on Discord things, but then I keep seeing things pop up in the server that I'm like, I didn't know that was possible.
Yes, so we have a lot of plans. Most recently, and what some of you may have already seen launch, we sort of did a little soft launch of the experience system. So this is going to be built upon, and it's going to have much more depth than it has now. It's not going to just be, oh, cool, I'm this level. It's going to, there are going to be tangible rewards and perks that come with getting certain levels. A couple of, I don't want to give away too much.
So
because,
how do you get experience or like levels?
Sure.
Do I have to kill monsters or defeat the moderator or something?
So to get experience in this particular, with this particular system, all you got to do is engage. So this system rewards 3 to 6 experience per post, and it's capped at 1 minute to protect against spam.
Because as gamers, we know like the first thing, as soon as somebody knows the rules, okay, how can I, power game this and maximize? So smart.
Exactly. Yes. So Coyote. So yeah, that's sort of the intent behind this, is to build community engagement and then reward it, and also give fun perks that make it more enjoyable to engage, because you're there doing it. So we want to make it even better for you.
Awesome. And that's another one of those things. It's like, oh, I know there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with Discord. I don't have time to put down all the things that I'm working on and focus on that. So having a dedicated community manager is a fantastic change. So on the vampire front of things, like how familiar are you with World of Darkness? Or like me, are you kind of stepping into this world for the first time and learning how to pronounce clan names, learning some of the ins and outs of things?
I'm in that boat. Yeah, I'm definitely starting to learn everything. I was aware of Vampire because, like I said, I'm a big RPG fan. So I've been playing D&D every week for going on 8 years now. So Vampire was definitely something that I knew existed because it is such an awesome RPG. But it is something that I am learning because it's never something I played, but it's something that I would really love to play. So.
And then what about on the card game side of things? Like, what's your card game background? Like, what have you played? Have you played anything seriously? I'm curious.
So I've been playing card games since I was a kid. I played Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh growing up. Most recently, I'm very into Magic the Gathering. I have a group that plays that every single Wednesday, to the dismay of my wallet. But it is a lot of fun. And that is probably my biggest card game right now. So I'd love to get into Rivals, because I know
for now, because Rivals is like,
it does look like a lot of fun. As I was reading the rules, I was like, okay, I got to bring this to my table.
Yeah, it definitely, what I have noticed with Rivals is that it gets increasingly more interesting as I learn more about it, and about not only the world and like the thematic ties and stuff like that, but just the depth of the mechanics that are in there. And especially like you see in a 4-player game, the table politics and the sort of social interaction that has to go into that. I saw so much of that on Saturday at the Roseville tournament. Just the kind of, you could do this, but like if you do that, watch out, it's going to leave it open for player 3 here, and that kind of trying to massage things to go the way you want, which is kind of fun.
And that's the exact type of card game that I like, because the particular format of Magic I play is Commander. So I'm sure many of you are aware that is the multiplayer version, and there's a lot of politics at the table. So
there you go. DJ Kitty C has the question. I think this is about Discord, saying, like the program, the experience stuff sounds great. What about people who are not that social? Is there going to be any? Have you had any thought given to other ways that people can engage beyond just posting?
Yes, so that is something that we're currently workshopping, because I mean, even myself personally, I'm involved in some communities. I would probably never reach some of these higher levels. I'm just not the type of person that, speaks that much. So I definitely am thinking about that, because I personally am like that. There are some things that we're working on that I don't want to give too much away yet, but beyond just the experience system, we definitely have a lot of perks that aren't solely based on just engagement, how much you're posting. So I'd really like to put in events into the server so people can have fun in that way. I'd like to do, I don't want to give away too much. I don't want to say too much, but I'll stop there and say events, and we do have a lot of future plans. So it is definitely something I'm thinking about, so don't worry.
Cool. Yeah, because I mean, really, these communities have the people who are super, like, hyper social, and then there's a lot of people who are just more chill, more, love the world, love that kind of thing, and want to interact. Well, we're talking about vampire. If you had to pick a vampire clan, Jordan, which clan would you be? Like, which clan speaks to you?
Okay, so I'm stuck in two, and
Okay.
I'll need your help with this, and maybe the chat can help me out too.
If it's
But
Ravnos, Coyote's going to lose it.
it's not Ravnos. So I'll tell you the two, and then I'll tell you why I identify with both, and then you can kind of help me out. So the first one that I identified with was Ventru. I identified with them because I was reading they're very into leadership and organization. Those are two ideals that are important to them. And those are two ideals that are very important to me as well. Just throughout my life, it's those two things have gotten me to where I am. So that is my reason for that. It's a little more.
I love the chat here because this community definitely has the thing where like people are a big fan of their clan. So people will either boo you or think you're the coolest person ever. So Ventru is one of the options.
Ventru is one of the options. And then the second one, I don't know how common this one is going to be. It seemed a little niche, but it interested me a lot, was Ministry.
Okay.
So I like this
one that is not
because...
in Rivals yet.
Interesting. Okay. So I like this one because I've always been fascinated with Egyptian history and sort of like Egyptian gods. So I think that
fascinates. And I believe the Ministry is also known as, or was formerly known as, the followers of Set, which is an Egyptian god. And
yes,
there is a bunch of lore behind all of this that I am still digesting. Especially because Ministry is not in Rivals yet, but okay.
Yes. Yeah, I've always been fascinated with sort of that Egyptian lore. I think it started with watching Lost because, they did all the Egyptian lore tie-ins and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyways, I've always been super interested in that kind of stuff. So I'm stuck between the two because Ventru, I definitely sort of identify with their ideals, but Ministry, it just seemed... It stood out to me as more fun and more like in line with my interests. Plus, they hunt world artifacts and like protect them and stuff. And I'm super into history, so that was cool.
Okay, that's pretty neat.
So yeah,
I will say, while Rivals, we don't have Ministry in the game. There has been a piece of art with a Ministry vampire that has been shown or released in some form, so people can speculate about all that fun stuff. Coyote clarifies that the followers of Set are now a cult that the Ministry basically kind of made or engineered. So yeah, it's one of the things that's just wild. Like when you go and read into the back lore of all these different clans and the creation of the clans and the schisms and the splinterings that have created all this drama and politics, it's really fascinating. But man, it is a lot to digest.
A lot of lore.
I would say for now you should go Ventru because you can play as them, but later on maybe it turns out that you were a Ministry plant the whole time. If that speaks to you more as you go.
I like that. I saw a lot of people saying yay in the chat for Ventru, so I think that's a good call. Seems like
if you are a Ventru, you need to learn to love Bruno Wagner. Bruno is a Ventru vampire. He has got impeccable fashion sense, very, very cool, has a great shoe collection. And he is, as I understand it, he was sort of a meme before I even joined the company. So Bruno is actually on the alt art card for, let me show it off because we're show some of the prizes for Prince of the City. And of course, good thing I wore pants for this stream. That would have been awkward. So Bruno is also featured on this here. This is the Assert Authority alternate art.
Very cool.
And I figured the Ventru alternate art that we did had to feature Bruno, looking pretty badass. So that's awesome. So Ventru or maybe Ministry, time will tell.
Time will tell.
Speaking of Ventru and Prince of the City stuff, I just figured I would show off. Those of you who are at Gen Con saw the nifty acrylic full color leader tokens, but unless you were in Roseville, you have not seen these other two. So here's the Hakata and La Sombra.
Oh, those look nice.
Leader tokens. So these are full color acrylics made by the folks down in Warsenal in Florida. And everybody who makes top 16 at one of these tournaments gets a set of those. Anybody who makes top 4, or like me, who judges an event, gets one of these nifty playmats. So this is the judge version. There's a finalist version and then a champion version as well. Obviously, Brandon Adams has the champion version from Roseville, but that's all on offer. Another thing that's really awesome at the tournaments are the agendas. So this is a plastic kind of credit card material. And you'll notice that the important parts of the card are glossy spot gloss.
That's awesome.
So the Prince of the City kit includes a variety of agendas. About half of them are the 4 agendas from the pre-con starter decks. So like you were playing Ventrue, so it was basic power. And you said your fiance was playing Toreador, so Playthings is theirs. The other one I was showing off here. So about half of them are these, and about half of them are all the other agendas from the first 2 expansions in the core set. So at the end of Swiss, you'll get to pick those agendas, kind of in order of your ranking. So there's a good chance you can go home with a copy of the agenda that you were playing, but in fancy plastic with the spot gloss to kind of upgrade your play space, shall we say. So lots of fun reasons to go to the Prince of the City tournament and get some neat swag like that. And those plastic cards you get just for showing up. You can show up, Jordan, you could go to the San Diego event, lose every game because you are, new to it, still go home with 4 plastic agendas, 4 alt arts, a Victor Temple Vampire, and 2 packs of sleeves. So
sounds like a good deal.
You just go, have a good time, get your butt kicked.
Awesome.
Foxhound, you're looking for a plastic Dragon's Roost. Your best bet is to come to Gen Con. Although if Foxhound, is that Aaron from the Milwaukee meta who has to judge the Milwaukee event? If that is you, send me a DM. I can maybe help you out. Because we have a whole bunch more plastic cards, like the Havens and stuff. Those will mostly be at our Gen Con event or our European Continental Conclave, which we will have more information on very soon. I don't know. I'm not sure if I believe Foxhound right now because he's saying he's definitely Aaron Boyd, and I feel like that was somebody else. I think that's Karasu. Yeah. So Foxhound, there will be other opportunities to win this stuff. Even if you can't make it to Gen Con. So don't lose hope. We want to make sure that people have a chance to get these cool prizes. And speaking of the prizes, those next round of, Karasu is Aaron Boyd. There we go. The next round of OP kits will be here within, I think, the month. So look for pre-orders to open up on the website for those pretty soon. If you're a person who wants to order OP kits, whether it's for your local store, whether, Jordan, if you just want to have a tournament with, you and your fiance, you can reach out to me and I will set you up to be able to get your OP kits and run those, even in a small play group or a club where you don't have a full game store who's running the game, still an option for you. We don't want people to be left out because they don't have the store.
Awesome.
But yeah, that is pretty much it for today. Like I said, there is a Prince of the City in Dayton this weekend. You can go there and meet Awesome Miss Coyote, who is one of our most prolific chatters and Discord members, and just an all-around stand-up guy, and a bunch of other local players. And then the weekend after that, go out to the St. Louis area, Berkeley, California, and what was the other one? There's too many tournaments. And Baltimore, Games and Stuff just outside of Baltimore. So make sure you go out there and stop in at them. Hoping to have some Renegade presence at least one of the Southern California events. So if you're going to one of those, you might run into Matt Hyra or Katie, who does our video stuff here on the backside of things. But that's pretty much it. Jordan, thanks for joining us. I know people will see more of you on future streams or maybe some live play stuff.
Yep.
And Coyote, we know that, your clan isn't stand up, but like as far as that clan goes, you're, one of the better ones, I guess I'd say. So that's all I'm saying. But if you can make it out to Dayton or any of these other upcoming events, hit the website. There is registration information on there when we've gotten it. If it's not there, reach out to the store themselves and they will get you set up. But yeah, I hope we see you guys at a future event and have an excellent night.